humans could digest more cellulose? Humans lack the ability to digest cellulose beyond very limited bacterial fermentation. This is because humans lack the needed enzymes to break down cellulose into its component sugars. What if a human had a digestive system like a cow and could derive needed nutrition from a high cellulose diet? First of all, what is cellulose? Cellulose is a type of polysaccharide plant fiber, which is a carbohydrate composed of linked sugar molecules and is insoluble in water. Cellulose is a chief component of the cell walls of plants. For example, cotton is 99% cellulose. Nature provides an abundance of cellulose. Let's take a closer look at one of nature's best cellulose utilizers, the cow. First, food is briefly chewed, mixed with saliva, and swallowed. Next, the food goes into the cow's big fermentation tank, or the rumen. While in the rumen, enzymes produced by microbes break down cellulose and make it available for use by the cow. Cows periodically regurgitate rumen contents, chew it more to increase the surface area, and swallow it again. This helps with digestion. The main thing to remember here is that cellulose is broken down through the process of fermentation by fungi, bacteria, and protozoa. They produce an end product that is used by microbes and eventually by the cow. Bacteria themselves are 60% protein, so the cow is growing the protein it needs inside its stomach. To digest cellulose, we, humans, would have to have a digestive system more like a cow. Furthermore, this means humans would eat plants, not meat. It appears that this was the case 6 million years ago. Our ancient ancestors were small in size, had long arms, and short legs. Their diet was primarily plant-based. Humans at that time had a large rib cage to accommodate the larger organs and intestines needed to digest their high cellulose diet. As humans evolved to be hunters with a diet containing more meat-based protein, their bodies changed to accommodate their new diet. Since they could not obtain large amounts of energy in smaller packages, they did not need a digestive system to accommodate large amounts of fermentation. The human body became sleeker. Now, to digest cellulose, we would need a body more like our ancestors of 6 million years ago. Our bodies would need the extra room to allow for fermentation. Our teeth would have to change too. Our teeth would be constantly growing because most plants that are high in cellulose are also high in silica. Silica is an abrasive that wears down teeth, necessitating teeth that constantly grow to keep up with the constant wear. How would a diet based solely on eating plants affect human development? Many of the animals that humans domesticated and developed as a source of meat, milk, or eggs would not have been required. Humans would still have needed these animals to use for carrying loads, transportation, and for farming. But many fellow herbivores may have been seen as pests competing for a food supply. Was cellulose consuming humans fight or flee? Well, it's hard to say. Herd animals fight only out of necessity for protection of offspring, territory, and reproductive rights, but many opt to run away. This means that children would need to mature faster because without weapons, they would need to quickly develop the ability to flee. Many of our weapons were made for hunting. With killing only necessary for protection, we would not have developed characteristics that made us good hunters, such as intelligence and problem solving. Humans with a plant-based diet might have evolved to be less intelligent and violent, and therefore not the dominant species. Let's consider how a plant-based diet may have affected globalization. Spices produced in Eurasia were the motivation for the massive effort of increased global commerce in the 1400s. A common use of spices was to make meat more palatable. If humans subsided on a plant-based diet, then many of the spices used to flavor meat would not have been needed. There might have been less cultural interaction because spices would not have been a high-value product. The economic reasons to reach the East to obtain spices would not have existed. In effect, the age of exploration may have been delayed as the drive for economic superiority wouldn't have pushed the competing nations of Europe to send out explorers in search for a route to Asia. Now let's consider Columbus's voyage to the Americas. how that would have been affected by a plant-based diet. Animals that depended on cellulose as a main energy source eat more and drink more water. Dried and salted meat was a staple on ocean voyages because it could be packaged and stored economically. With a cellulose-based diet, the ships would need to carry tons of hay, grain, and more water. The average person weighed 150 pounds. They would need about 6 pounds of hay and grain per day. A typical bale of hay weighs around 50 pounds. On all 3 ships of Columbus's voyage, there were 88 people. To feed the crew, it would take about 11 pounds a day. For the 35-day journey to the islands, about 385 bales of hay would be consumed, or 10 tons of hay as well as grains. And this is if the wreck didn't get to us first. If the average person ate primarily cellulose, they would require more water. The typical person today drinks 1/2 gallon per day. It is projected that with a primarily cellulose-based diet, the average person would need 2 gallons of water, meaning that the ship would need to carry about 27 tons of water to provide for the 88-person crew for the 35-day first leg of the first journey, compared to the 7 tons a modern human would need. Meaning, this increased weight of food needed to supply on a long ocean voyage would prove to be difficult. Added to the lessened need to find a route to Asia, this might have delayed the age of exploration. Consequently, global connections would have been delayed, meaning the entirety of history could have been changed, making our technology not as advanced as it is today. Without this social strife for food, and with the delay of finding a new world, ultimately the finding of modern-day countries on North and South America, revolutions and colonization would have been delayed, or they might have not happened at all. Consider how a cellulose-based diet might have affected the French Revolution. One key issue that resulted in the French Revolution was lack of food. This drove starving people to violence. France was forced into bankruptcy after the French government aided in the American Revolution. A new government to replace the monarchy was supported by the masses because they were hard hit in the 1780s by the increasing price of bread and widespread unemployment. Enlightenment ideas had given a voice to these starving peasants. The intense need of the masses for food that the government failed to deliver led to mass devastation and the complete upheaval of the government. If the people had been able to digest cellulose, Marie Antoinette might have said, "Let them eat grass," and the people would have been happy to do so. Similarly, the Russian Revolution was in part caused by the lack of food. Humans that were able to eat cellulose-rich foods might not have revolted. In conclusion, diets would become plant-based, and humans would need a digestive system like a cow to utilize cellulose. Our bodies would look different, more teeth to grind, a larger torso to accommodate more organs, and a stockier physique. Without the need to hunt, humans may not have developed high levels of intelligence. The age of discovery may have been postponed because of the larger amount of food and water required for long ocean voyages. With global connections delayed, the founding of the New World and all the technology that was innovated there would have been delayed, so we might not be as advanced as we are now. Much of the violence and upheaval throughout history by lack of food may have been averted as people could just eat grass.